just go for it. Get started.
Oh, good.
Hello and welcome to 100% Real with Ruby. Today I have James on, and something we were talking about before I clicked record is the fact that people don't feel like they can actually lose weight, or they can diet, or they can stick to anything, or whatever their excuse is, in quotes, because they think they love food too much, or because they can't fit it into their lifestyle, or it's going to be too difficult to work their life around food, where food is like the focus of this whole thing, which you would have heard on my last podcast. It's not just about the food. Like, you can't just focus on the food without looking at the other elements of your lifestyle, especially the walking element and the activity element. But something that James was saying, which I'm going to let him bring up the conversation to start this whole thing up, is the reason that we don't hyperfixate on food so much and salivate and do all this food porn stuff isn't because we don't love food. Like, I freaking love my food. And that's why I do big meals. Like, I can't eat a meal that's under 600 calories. That shit doesn't fill me up. I love eating. And like, I can't do anything under 600 calories. It just doesn't do it for me. And that's the thing. It's because we don't restrict food. And the more that you have a restriction mindset, and the more that you approach fat loss from I need to cut food out, I have less calories to play with. I was having this conversation really funnily with someone about half an hour ago. And she's like, I tried to eat at the lower end of my maintenance and dip into fat loss, and I just couldn't do it. And I'm like, well, that's because you're focusing on eating less. And she's like, yeah, maybe I don't want to lose fat as much as I thought. I'm like, that's the thing. You're focusing on losing fat. You're focusing on food. You're focusing on the fact you're trying to lose fat right now. Just focus on all the other stuff outside of that instead of the restriction. And she's like, actually, yeah, that's what I'm thinking about, because my whole life I've been trying to restrict. So with that, I'm going to let James introduce himself and the topic around the language around food and the mindset that affects the way that your body then, I guess, gets its results.
Yeah. So what do you want me to start with, that post?
Yes.
All right. No. So I had a conversation. So I run a gym and I run a couple of companies, and I had a conversation with just a client, just a member the other day, just in passing, and we're just talking about dieting, and she was just talking about what her struggles were. So I thought I would listen in, and she said something like really interesting to me. And I thought, she goes, you don't understand though, because you don't love food. And I was like, all right, let me just think on this, for a second, because that's a pretty weird thing to say, right? Because I think I like food. I don't really understand. I eat food. I eat a lot of food. I go out for food. I socialize around food. It's emotional. It's social. It's all these wonderful things. So I was like, so why don't, I love food? And the simple thing is what she believes is because I don't love food. So what she means by it is that she struggles with dieting because she loves food so much. But what she really means is she loves certain foods so much, which makes her love that food even more because she restricts it. So she's in this constant perpetual state of sort of dieting, wanting to lose weight. So straight away, first things human being doing is they just go into this restriction mentality. But the things that you restrict are usually the things that you enjoy. I don't know why that's ever the case, but that seems to be the simple way that it goes. So when you restrict something, and you restrict something in a human's brain, that makes them want it more than anything else. Do you know what I mean? So when they're dieting, if they're going into levels of restriction, it then means they want that food. And then they go off their diet with that food, and that food makes them feel guilty. So therefore they don't eat it again. So by not restricting myself, I'll just read the post. I've got it up here now. I just thought. So I answered this. So by not restricting myself, I don't love food. I asked, have you thought you love food so much because at times you believe that you shouldn't be eating it? Is that the difference? You feel like you need to earn it. It's bad. You shouldn't. You do. It tastes amazing in that moment. You love food more than me. So I asked the question on my social media. So I asked the question, if you're one of those people who loves food, are you also someone who feels guilty for eating certain foods?
The thing that I feel is really powerful here is that a lot of people approach any transformation journey, or they hire a coach and they feel like, hey, I'm hiring you for fat loss, let's lose fat. instead of realizing it's not about the fat loss, it's about how you set up achieving fat loss. Because fat loss isn't the goal. That's a vehicle on the way to the goal. The goal is your goal body composition. And if you only see the goal as fat loss, you're taking away 85% of the pie, and you're not actually building a foundation where you don't have, like, there's not a single person that doesn't have some form of diet fatigue or food fatigue, because everyone's been friggin' brought up trying to shrink themselves, especially females. And that fatigue, that mentality, unless you give yourself a break from that to learn how to shift your focus, because I don't know whether you experience this, because I have it in so many conversations where people are trying to stop their body image thoughts, or they're trying to stop their negative thoughts, or stop stressing over building their calories up to an actual proper maintenance for themselves, because everyone's on suppressed calorie intakes. But they're always trying to stop these mindsets or manage their thoughts, instead of, why don't you stop trying to manage the shit and start focusing on better stuff, because you're still focusing on the shit. So that is still going to be forefront of mind. Whereas you can actually focus on, one of my girls, I'm just like, hey, you can't do a single push-up on your toes. Why don't we focus on getting stronger, building muscle, feeling stronger? That's shifting the mentality of everything around your body and everything around food to something else. And you said this in one of your podcasts as a quote, it's stop living in a diet. And I want you to expand on that, and why your language around food and your mindset affects your health and nutrition, because that's the foundation that you need for any success.
I think it's really goal related, to be honest, to how much we push fat loss at any certain time. But I think even when we're setting up sort of fat loss diets, the thought has to be a longer term process, right? You have to be getting your habits and behaviors in place for the maintenance phase. And as you said before, just before I touch on this, like a similar thing you said before about one of your girls, like at maintenance, and she's just coming under maintenance, was like, well, now you're not at maintenance. So this is the thing, like, I have females usually are a little bit worse at this. They'll go, and again, this is no fault of their own, this is from just experiences of just being in perpetual states of diets for too long. So say we diet down someone to their body composition that they want, they're happy, right? So then we'll start to reverse out, or maybe we'll go to maintenance. I've had people for maintenance, right, which the whole objective at this point is to maintain. It says it in the name. Yeah, in their check-ins, they will still be annoyed that they're not losing weight. And I have to go, wait a second, let's just think about what you're saying for a second. So if we're into a maintenance phase, you're answering 9 subjective things that tell you how amazing you're doing and how amazing you are. Our aim is to maintain weight, and you're still getting pissed off that you're not losing weight. We've got a big problem here. We've got an issue. And a lot of people they're in perpetual states of diet. They've gone from diet to diet, gym to gym. And I think it comes to a time where you've got to ask yourself, is it what you really want? Because I think everyone wants to be in better shape. But what are people willing to do at that point as well? Because dieting, can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
All right, because dieting, you know what I mean, is not fucking, it's not fucking easy. It's not easy. I think it's oversimplified. Do you know what I mean? It is simple, let's say, but simple is not easy at this point. So if you've been dieting for a long period of time, my advice is to just stop dieting. Go and put, you look at health, right? There's sides of health. And I'm going through this at the moment within my business, because as soon as you talk nutrition, everyone goes fat loss. You say to 100 people, go nutrition, 99 of them go fat loss. And it's like, that's not what we're talking about. But as nutritionists, we seem to have been put under this thing now where we just make people lose weight. Where good coaches, good nutritionists, you have to look at the whole model, the whole biopsychosocial model of health for someone to be successful. You can't be successful in one and let everything else fall down. That's like making a nice meal in the kitchen, making a beautiful meal, and then just fucking burning your kitchen down after it and going, well, it was successful. The spaghetti bolognese was amazing. Yeah, but you got no fucking kitchen left.
I love that.
Everything's done. So there's absolutely pointless the fact that you're doing that, right? It's like, you see people, what I mean? Like people, I've seen people in the past, like, take Tupperware to a meal out. a social occasion because they need to stay on track. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know what I mean? That is not part of the biopsychosocial model, because social element is a massive part of human health and human connection. And you're taking something to stay on track. What are you staying on track for? I would say that's exceptionally unhealthy for you to do that.
I want to say this is exactly where I guess it also comes into, we don't have to focus on food when things are actually planned out. If you're needing to make every single one of your meals from scratch, of course food's going to be on your mind, because you always have to think about what you need to do next to hit your goals. But if you actually plan ahead, your body has certainty and you don't need to recreate a new meal every time. Like, the more you try to complicate your meals, the less consistent you are going to be, because there is no way that I'm going to try to think up a meal every single time and hit my macros off point. And if, like, the longer you do this, like, maybe okay, you're going to friggin' struggle sometimes to work out how to fit social meals into your plan to get the outcome, but over time you get better at it and you can match it. Like, if you have a plan, you know what the meal usually looks like for dinner, for example. You just need to match that social meal to that plan. And you mentioned this because I want to go back to it because it's so important. A lot of people struggle with meal planning or meal prepping or tracking their calories or whatever it is, because the only way that they got introduced to food and nutrition and thinking about this stuff is to shrink their body, to weigh less, for fat loss. You haven't thought about it as a way of, how can I fuel this workout? How can I fuel my body? And also realizing food isn't just fuel. It's the fact that we eat because we're emotional a lot of the time. So what are the other things that you can do that can fulfill those emotional needs? Because people eat when they're bored. Okay, well, why is that? Like, what are you missing in your life? And it's that whole, like, planning, prepping thing that I just wanted to bring into that as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just comes down to guilt, to be honest. I think, so no one should ever feel bad for eating something. Ultimately you have permission to eat whatever you want, whenever you want to eat it. So if you're going out for a meal and you're like, what are you on track for? Like, what if you've got a plan, what are you on track for? Have you got a fucking fight in the UFC coming up that you need to make weight for? Have you got a boxing match next week? Are you standing on stage, for example? If you're standing on stage and bodybuilding's your sport, then, maybe. But if you're having a social occasion now and again, go and eat whatever you want. Do you know what I mean? Try and make a good option. Try and make a better option. Maybe pick the second thing that you want most and not the main thing that you want most. Do you know what I mean? Maybe don't punish yourself for that whole day because you're going out for this meal. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's the mindset behind the social element, the preparation. It's like, I have this conversation with new dieters all the time. Have you got a plan for this week? I'll ask them to come up with their own plan. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. Write down what you're going to have. I don't care about how many grams here or how many grams here, but you have to have structure to your plan for the diet for the week. And on Saturday, it might say going out with friends. At least now you're looking at that week and going, right, I know what I'm having. And it might change. I know what I'm having here. I know what I'm having here. I know what I'm having here. But people think that's just when you're dieting. This is forever. This is what every human being does. Ever. I got 2 kids at home on my fridge. I know what we're all having for dinner all week because it makes my life a hell of a lot easier. I know what my lunches are. I know what my breakfasts are.
See, that you just said something very key there. It makes my life easier. A lot of people are saying they don't have time to prep. They don't have time to plan. It's like, this is actually giving you time. And once you have structure, then you can put calories to things. Then you can put macros to things. The reason, and then you can actually work out what you can fit in when you're going social. Like, when I eat socially, I pick foods that I can literally tell what ingredients are in there, because I don't know what the restaurant's going to do. Like, I would pick something that's like grilled because I know that I'm going to feel more satisfied with it. It's going to actually satisfy me. Like, I'm not punishing myself by picking that option. It's like, I'm actually tending to the fact that I can live a leaner lifestyle, eat socially, pick the foods that I will enjoy, because I know, hey, I'm going to be satisfied with this. I don't need to eat for a party in my mouth, because I have more control of that at home if I want to have a party in my mouth at home. But when I'm eating out, I'm there for the social element. I'm there for the social health. And you don't actually crave every single item at a restaurant when you aren't perpetually dieting and you give yourself the ability to eat that stuff outside of the social event. And like
But
you said,
I think the problem is here a lot of the time is that people will tend to pick a meal that doesn't align with what they're trying to do because they're restricting prior to that. So when they're out, they're excited by it. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's that mindset of you can have anything, but when you give yourself that ultimately all the time, then you'll make greater decisions. You know, and a good thing about eating out a lot of the time, Richard, and again, because if you're eating out, right, if you're eating out once every now and again, go crazy if you want. Do what you want to do that's going to make you happy and it might make you adhere to your diet a little bit longer term. If you're out all the time, then it's like, right, do you want to get somewhere or not? Because you can't have your cake and eat it at the same time, right? So when you're going out a lot of time, you can still enjoy the social environment. Nothing will change. Nothing will change bar the meal on your plate. And once you've eaten that meal, you're not going to wish you had something else. But I find it quite funny, right? There was a research paper in the UK done where it said the average takeaway, I think it was around London, was around 1,000 to 1,500 calories on average over a huge amount, right? So I'll have clients come in and they're like, yeah, I went out on the weekend. And they did make a better decision in fairness. There's like, I had an omelette. Wonderful. Right. And so that's just eggs. I had eggs, spinach, bit of cheese. And I'm like, right. So do you ever make that at home? Yeah. Does it taste the same as you make it at home? No, so different. Why do you think? Why do you think it tastes different in this place to what you do at home? Because they're a chef. Their job isn't to care about what you're trying to do with your body. Their job is to make it the tastiest shit you can do so you keep coming back and you go, it's amazing. So well done on picking the better option, but don't put in your MyFitnessPal that you've just had a few eggs because you have not.
Yeah, that's why it's like you need to pick the ingredients apart. Like I wouldn't order an omelet, I would order eggs, like actual eggs, because I can see the eggs on my plate and I know that it's just an egg and you can tell how much it's fried. But this is why maintaining is actually the greatest progress you can make, because everyone has lost weight once in their life. But like, you can start off with the best intentions. You all know my story. I competed so many times. I started off with good intentions before I fell into that cycle, and then I covered it up and escaped competing through powerlifting. And I still had to make a freaking weight for that. And it's funny because the grind that I had to put through to make my weight class, that stress, I had to always do a weight cut of like 6 kilos over 2 days to actually make my comp weight. And I'm a small person. So it was drastic for me. And now it's funny because over lockdown, I was also weak. There's also that to think about because I wasn't training for strength. But I easily sit at that same weight class now. I don't like talking about weight, but that's why I'm not saying numbers. But I sit at that exact same weight class now, and I'm actually building and aiming to put on 0.3 kilos a week. And that's funny because before I was struggling to even lose anything. And now I'm intentionally building my body. And I feel like this is where a lot of people go wrong and why they feel like all they do is gain the weight back. Because the only time they're intentional is when they're trying to lose the freaking weight.
Yeah.
You're not intentional outside of the fat loss phase. So what happens? You don't give the same effort and energy to your training sessions. You're not pushing it. You're not putting the same energy and effort into, okay, I'm not going to mindfully nibble now. You're more cautious of that stuff when you're in a fat loss phase.
Yeah, I think, when I'm starting any phase with someone, it depends what they've got. If there's like a metabolic issue, we'll start at maintenance. We'll fucking work hard to figure out their maintenance at the start, and then we'll start playing around with their calories. If they want to get into dieting and they're dieting and they're good to go, I will tell them, this isn't the end. Like once you're where you want to be, like it's go time. This is when we pick up the intensity of things. Do you know what I mean? Your diet is not done. Nothing is done until we've maintained your current shape or your current position for X amount of time, depending on how long the dieting period was.
That's something you said that is really important. I want to dig more into that. And that's, a lot of people aren't willing. We already spoke on this at the very start, and it's important that we need to talk about, and that's a lot of people aren't willing to actually start at that maintenance phase, where I feel like a lot of people do. Even if they are at, like, a lot of people can make a lot of progress in maintenance to start with because their habits have been all skewed. Like, in that foundation phase, just by reestablishing your maintenance, if you are going from more processed food to minimally processed food, that automatically can boost up your metabolism through the thermic effect of food. If you actually start walking more in a new, like, I don't want to call it maintenance because maintenance is maintenance, but foundation phase, if you start walking more, focusing on sleep, focusing on your health, because Luke's my mentor as well from Muscle Nerds. So we all know that focusing on health is going to get you a lot more results long term, because if your body isn't healthy, you aren't going to respond to shit. And again, people do not give enough attention to the mental aspect of dieting, the mental aspect of fatigue when you are chasing fat loss. Because I can tell you right now that from chasing my bodybuilding for so long, I couldn't even put like anything on the scale without having a panic attack, because I was that diet fatigued. Like, I will tell you right now that the thought of even tracking my food, I wanted to do it because I wanted control over my food again. But I just couldn't even think about tracking my food. I was that diet fatigued. And so many people go through that for years and they're still not willing to take a step back to actually progress forward.
I mean, diet fatigue is a very real, it's a very real thing. Like, you see it, say if you're going through a 12-week phase of dieting, and we'll touch on maintenance in a minute, but say if we just go through a 12-week phase of dieting, right, and they're losing a little bit each week, but then magically they just stop. They stop losing, and they'll go, fuck, what's happening? It must be like diet-induced thermogenesis. I must just be adapting. Body's finding homeostasis. Still doing my steps. Have you ever thought that your accuracy is now off because you're just super fatigued and you're just mindlessly doing these little things? Like, your body doesn't adapt that fast, right? Its body just doesn't change automatically. Like, you can't lose 1 kilo one week and the next you're fat, and then the next week go, it's my body. No. So what are you doing differently? You know, and I think that comes down to an ownership of understanding, to be like, right, maybe I am doing something differently. You know, and maybe at that point you need a refeed in your diet or something that might pick your energy back up, so your non-exercise activity is a little bit higher, your exercise activity is a little bit higher. But diet fatigue is an extremely real thing. But I think the more people realize that I am fatigued, I am extremely fatigued right now, or like I'm making unconscious decisions, then it might be time to figure something out. Then it's time to like adapt.
This is why you need to stop living in a diet. And I spoke about this with leptin, with the way your body responds the second that you start dieting. If all you do is focus on slashing calories and going as extreme as you can, your body's going to fight back harder, because metabolic adaptation is something you can mitigate past the initial phase, because you are going to have that drop in leptin, and the harder you go, the more your body is going to try to fight back, the more you are going to be fatigued, because now your hormones are getting impacted. Now you want to do less because your body's trying to conserve more energy. Now you have mental fog. Now your sleep is shit, which I do want to talk about sleep and stress management as well, because people don't realize how important lifestyle is in this. People are too busy looking for food answers, calorie burn answers, cutting things out answers, where you don't actually stop to think, hey, if I look to my lifestyle, I can make this a lot more enjoyable, instead of focusing on trying to lose weight all the time. Like we said, weight loss isn't the goal. That's a vehicle to the goal. You want to feel better. How are you feeling better eating freaking 1,500 calories a day, not eating carbs, not having energy to play with your kids if you're a mom, not having the right focus at work and feeling like a failure because you can't keep up with your work tasks? Like, you're making your life revolve around fat loss. And are you actually getting results for the stress you're giving it?
Well, I think that's the big one. Are you actually getting the result from the diet, from the effort that you're putting in? Because I do think dieting is extremely individualized, and extremely in terms of like the method that you use in order to get the person to lose weight. You know, if that's what they need, that is important. Be that aggressive, be that non-aggressive, that's fine. But there has to be process. So, you know, a lot of the time, I'm sure you've had it, you'll have people saying to you like, I've adapted to these amount of calories, but you've not lost any weight. Nothing's happened. You're not adapted to anything. You're not adapted to shit. You're just not doing what you need to do in order to maybe get it done. So that's where you need to sort of flip things back. And this is the sort of the whole mentality around dieting. But, you know, some people, again, me, I'm quite pro. Some people are much suited in an aggressive diet for a short period of time, depending on what they're doing. Some people are better suited around maintenance and then possibly creating a deficit through exercise. But then again, I would say that's not necessarily maintenance. So it comes down to, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to maintain? Are you trying to gain? Are you trying to recomposition? Are you trying to lose fat? What are we trying to do? And then pick the method that their mentality aligns with. Because again, if you go to every client, hey, we can knock these calories down in the next X amount of weeks, but it's going to be really hard, pretty tough. 95% of them are going to jump on that and go, I can do that. I want to do that. And I'm going to say 95% of you can't do that. It's that person that maybe said they can't that I'll give it a go with. Do you know what I mean? The rest of you, let's figure this out.
Yeah. And people come to us. I actually kind of hate the word maintenance in a sense, because it doesn't even sound sexy. So I call it building. You're either in a fat loss phase or you're building, because you can still build in maintenance, because building doesn't just refer to muscle. It refers to building your mindset, building your lifestyle, building your habits, building your metabolism up, because you can still fit in, find ways to get your 10K steps in, 12K steps. I like the 10 to 12K buffer if you can actually get to 12K and fit that into your lifestyle, because that will allow you to eat more in this friggin' hedonic world where everyone wants to eat delicious foods that don't really come friendly to a waistline. So the more that you can look to your lifestyle and look for, where can I actually inject energy into my lifestyle so that I can get more bang for my buck, that's going to lead to long-term success. When you're going out on holidays, you have more buffer room now. But people come to us, I want you to talk about like certain cases, because I'm sure people will be able to relate better, already depleted mentally and physically, which is why it is so important for you to set yourself up for fat loss first. It's not a step back. It's actually more so doing, let's say, instead of moving the furniture so you can just have your fat loss phase and laze about with the furniture, you're doing a whole renovation to the house, because then we can actually live in a better house and rearrange the furniture with a lot more room and still be cozy in that environment instead of being all cramped up in an attic.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. And it does, you do have to work on everything. It has to be your lifestyle, it has to be your behaviors, it has to be your mindset. Because again, if you look at any sort of foundational pyramid for fat loss, lifestyle and behavior it's first. Like, before absolutely anything, what you do, you need to be in a good place enough to actually want to do it in the first place. And then something I'll ask at time is like, why do you want to do this anyway? It sounds quite funny coming from a nutrition coach, where so many people will come and sit down with me, or I'll speak to them on the phone like, I want to lose fat, and I'm actively pushing against them to not come and do this. I don't think, why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? I just don't like my stomach. Okay, let's take this a little bit further. Let's see what we got to do here. Like, why do you want to diet? It's just, we live in a world at the moment where everyone just feels that they need to do it. It's like, why are you doing it? It's like a perception. Someone else is doing it, therefore I'm doing it. But the weird thing about perception is the fact that human beings act the way that they think they're perceived, not the way that they are. And that's where we fall into a dangerous game.
I feel like it's harder to say no to delicious things as well, until, like, a lot of people do work offices, like work lunches and stuff like that. It's a lot harder to say no to things at work, things in your environment, when if all you ever thought about was, I need to do this forever, I need to eat this way forever. And that's exactly why we're saying, no, this is why fat loss isn't your lifestyle. And if you spend more time at maintenance, if you spend more time fueling your body, which is why maintenance is a building phase, you will actually realize that you have that flexibility and you won't be so food focused. And yes, you can eat that pastry, you can eat that taco at work, because it fits. Anything fits if you make it. It's just that you need to tick your boxes. Are you eating your protein? Are you eating your veggies? Are you eating your fruit? Are you able to hit your calories for the week? It's not even hey, like you don't need to be in a deficit every single day. I have a girl going out to dinner today and she's in a deficit at the moment. She's like, what do I need to swap to fit in this food? I'm like, just swap your dinner. You'll be over by probably just a couple hundred calories, but who cares? Diet maintenance, cool. Like you are able to do that when you're in a deficit. You're not taking a step back. You're not going to gain fat by eating in maintenance one day.
No, and I think that's it. So I think a couple of things you touched on then, like you don't have to be like, people don't understand when you give someone, say, a calorie intake that is a little bit lower than usual to elicit fat loss. People need to have a great understanding that this is not the way that you live. These are the lowest calories you will hopefully ever be on in your life, right? The lowest. But everyone just goes, you said it, 1,500, right? So I'll have some females around the gym and they'll go, I'll start dieting again. Let me fucking guess how many calories you're on. 1,500. Every time it's the same calories, right? 1,500 or 1,800 or 1,200. It's the same thing. You don't live in a diet. Your diets are there for short periods of time, very short periods of time. Another thing is like, people bringing foods into offices and having delicious treats. And there's a few reasons why people do this, and the literature says so as well. It's the fact that it's bonding, it's togetherness. People bring food into offices so they don't feel alone when they're eating it. They feel a sense of connection. So they're going to do it. They want to do it anyway, but they think if everyone else is doing it with me, therefore it's fine. So they make themselves feel a little bit better about it. So, I will say to my clients a lot of time, like a good relationship with food is being able to say yes and no without guilt, because we can go so far the other way. No foods are off the table. We can have whatever we want. We can do this, we can do that. But then, so everyone starts eating food and they're like, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. But if you keep being fine with it, then you're never going to get your results that you want, because you keep being fine with everything that you're eating. So you need to be able to say no to things as well. I'm the same with alcohol. Like, I enjoy a drink. Okay, I'm from a rugby background. I'm from the UK. Culturally, I enjoy a beer. I struggle to say no to beer. I'm working on it. So having the ability to say yes and no at any given time shows that you've got a good, true relationship with food.
Touching on the alcohol thing quickly, people don't realize just how negative alcohol is to any body composition goals. Like, you should hardly be having any alcohol at all in a fat loss phase. And this is why you don't live in a fat loss phase, because you can start to allow more of it in outside of that. But if you think about how many calories are in alcohol, hey, guess what? Alcohol is not calorie free. I call it the tax burden, because it actually stops your body burning fat and building muscle if you drink it. But something to keep in mind is, again, it is like any other junk food. Just because you have to restrict it a lot more in a diet does not mean that it's completely forbidden. The more you try to keep it forbidden, the more you're going to have the elastic effect and go boom and then try to have it all. But
I think alcohol. So I think alcohol's a big one. Obviously, because I do enjoy beer, I know quite a lot about it. I've looked into it. You know what I mean? So obviously, alcohol's usually 7 calories, per gram. But like, it's not to say you can't build muscle or lose fat while you're drinking it. You can't at that period of time, right? Because again, you drink it, goes through these processes. Ethanol turns into something called acetate. Body turns into a poison. Your liver now has to get that out. It has to get this acetate out of your body before it metabolizes anything else. So while you're drinking and while alcohol is in your system, then you can't do anything, right? Alcohol is another thing. Like, no one's going to sit here and say, I can't speak to anyone and go, there's positives to alcohol, bar that it's quite fun now and again. Like, there isn't. Like, it's a lot harder, right? And it depends on what you're drinking, how much you're drinking. There was a paper, let me get it up. There was a paper. So this was done, I think it was alcohol and then sleep. So alcohol deprivation, like, someone's sort of hormones and someone what they felt after drinking, right? So this was a 28% increase in the hunger hormone, 18% decrease in satiety. That had an increase in fatigue, a decrease in energy expenditure, a decrease in mood motivation, an increase in exaggerated food walks, and an increase for desire, for hedonic foods. So when you're drinking, it clearly impacts your sleep. When your sleep is impacted, then your body is wildly impacted. And then it's a little bit of a sort of negative feedback loop from here. I think alcohol can be a part of people's lives, but again, I think it's very dependent on what we're trying to achieve at a situation. I don't actively take it away from people's lives. My job is to actively work on them on why they're drinking in the first place. Why are you doing this?
Yes.
You know, if you're having a couple of beers every single night, why are you doing that? Because if you're doing that to de-stress, you are wildly mistaken, because you are putting yourself in such a more stressed state. You feel less stressed for this certain period of time. Now you're going to go to bed. Now you're going to sleep worse. And now your next day is worse. So you go and repeat. So again, does that make sense?
That's actually the most important thing to realize, which is something I have a discussion with my girls all the time. It's like, but why do you feel the need to drink past a couple of glasses? Like, what are you getting out of it? You're going to get no benefit past the second glass if you're tipsy. You feel like you're out of control of your body. Like, what do you gain from that? And a lot of the time I realize it's because people never feel like they're doing enough. They always rush. The only time they have to just completely turn their head off is when they're drinking way too much on the weekend or whenever it is.
But a lot of time it's escapism, right? It's a way of escaping current reality for certain periods of time. Drugs, alcohol, it's the same, right? People are unhappy with their current reality, so they do things in order to take them away from that current reality and whatever level that can be. So it's the reality and it's the lifestyle that you have to sort of go into. You have to understand why you're doing it. You know, what is going on.
And it can actually lead to increased fat gain over time because of your behaviors around that event. The next day, I don't know a single person that has an ounce of motivation if they drink too much the day before. You're going to move less. You're going to feel less less willing to do, to even train. If you don't have a lifestyle of activity, if you don't have a lifestyle that James and I have, if you don't have a lifestyle that is focused around, I'm just going to get shit done anyway, you're not going to make a single ounce forward to your results that following day.
I will talk about this a lot about, I talk about life as a whole. One of my main goals in life is to create balance in tens of thousands of people's lives. Balance is this key thing. I think you have balance, you have freedom, you have happiness. I think they go along with each other. So there's this pendulum that I like to say, right? Let's call this side the darkness, okay, or bad, and this side the light and good. And it's yin and yang, right? You can't have one without the other. But if you are willing to swing it one way, Luke says it best. If you're willing to eat a kilo of meat, you need to be willing to eat a kilo of vegetables. It's the same concept, right? If you're willing to go, on a night out and get absolutely hammered, what are you willing to do after that to swing it back? Because if you think that you're just going to mope around for a couple of days and have a really poor diet and then Wednesday you're not getting results, that is not on. Do you mean you have to be willing to pay the consequence? So if you swing it one this way, what are you going to do as fast as possible to swing it back to this way to find homeostasis in the middle?
I absolutely love that. And I do have to say as well, you need to know yourself. And you also need to realize that what works for you now it doesn't have to be what you have to keep doing. What worked for you might not be what works for you now. What didn't work for you before might be exactly what you need now. Before, even now I might be. I don't even know because I haven't actually put myself into a deficit in ages. But before, I'm someone that is either I need it or it needs to be out. I'm not a moderator. I'm an abstainer. So if I can't have something, I'm not having a single ounce of it because it's going to derail me. You need to know yourself, but you need to make that decision very, very clear and realize that it's only for a period of time. And then you can reintroduce it back until you fix your habits or your lifestyle, or you get out of the fat loss phase and you don't just add the food back in straight after the fat loss phase, because that's how you gain weight, because now your ghrelin's through the roof and your leptin, which actually satisfies you and tells you that you're full, is still suppressed. So you need to actually have help in this, get a coach, get guidance to help you through this thing, but you need to know yourself. If you can't stop at one, don't have it in your environment, have it in a controlled environment where you can physically stop yourself at one. Have things that, instead of focusing on the things you can't have, focus on the things you can have until you get yourself to a place where you can start incorporating these foods into your life again. When I'm in a fat loss phase, I'm not including cereal into my diet because unless I have at least 80 grams in a bowl, I'm not satisfied. Like that is,
Yeah.
and 80 grams doesn't really fill me up if it takes up that much of my calories. So I won't have it in a fat loss phase. I will have rice and tuna and cheese, or chicken and cheese, and something that gives me a lot of satiety, because I know that that's going to make me happy, because I'm not going to be craving more food.
So I think, again, to caveat a few things, I think you've hit the nail on the head then when it's about understanding yourself. You know, science is science. You know, we look at the science, we look at this evidence sort of hierarchy, and we're informed by evidence. But then you've got the psychology around things, right, which is very subjective. You know, I spoke with a lady this morning actually about certain things, just about the way that my RAM reacts. You know, in my gym, I'll say everyone gets the same respect, but everyone gets treated differently. How I treat one person, how I treat the next person, I'm going to get two very different results. So I played rugby my whole life. If my rugby coach shouted at me, I would get emotional and I would get angry. So I can't be spoken in a certain way, you know what I mean? So I have to be quite calming in what I'm doing, where some people are sort of really, like to get angry, and that's what gets them going. So for you to say, you know that you have to take some things away, or you know what you have to do, and that's probably from past traumas or experiences with your time on stage or your time making weights, where some people don't have to do that. You know, I'll just go against what you're saying a little bit here with in a phase, for example, and this is where it comes down to lifestyle and behaviors and not just fat loss, because I think long-term lifestyle and behaviors need to be embedded even with fat loss phases. Like, I'm setting up multiple protein targets per day on your lowest amount of calories. So when you go to maintenance, like, we're hitting muscle protein synthesis 4 times a day. Do you know what I mean? We're doing these basic things. I'm not going, there's 2 different mindsets towards protein, right? Hey, eat your protein while you're dining, really good for satiety, you're going to make you satisfied. Ooh, really exciting. Hey, what we're going to do is we're going to hit your total protein, but we're going to spread it over 4 portions, because what's this going to do is going to help you, allow you to build better body composition. It's going to help you to be able to recover, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, God, that now, right, I have an understanding of what I'm doing. And then you come back to the emotion of things as well. So I've actually got some people dieting where they're emotional eaters. That's what they tend to do. They're emotional eaters, right? So I'll go, okay. So I'll get them a lot of the time. I'll say, write down the top 3 things that you go to, right? And I hate the word binge eating as well, just before it's like, some people, they'll always go, I'm binging, right? There's binge eating from an actual disorder, and there's people that have overate a little bit. They're 2 different things. We have to separate this from a mindset, right? I've dealt with binge eating disorder clients where I've had to send psychologists. That's legit. You having 200 calories of M&Ms more is not binging. You've just ate a little bit more than usual, right? So if someone comes to me and they say they're hyper emotional and they have certain foods that they go to, right? So say if one of them foods is chocolate, the other one, number 2, is an Indian, and the other one is, I don't know, Chinese, whatever. It doesn't matter. What's that? Sorry?
Ice cream.
All right, yeah, perfect. Number 3 is ice cream, right? So we've got chocolate, Indian, and an ice cream. They're their go-to foods. Okay, every time they get emotional, that's their go-to foods. And when we're dieting, it can be quite stressful, right? They go into these stressful states, which can sort of push people to be a little bit more emotional, maybe, or maybe they're just highly stressed. So I will straight away, in that weekly plan that I give you, you need to put an Indian in there, you need to put some chocolate in there, and you need to put ice cream in there somewhere in the week. But I don't want it. I don't care where you want it. Put an Indian in there, put chocolate in there, and put ice cream in your week. But I'm trying to lose fat. Put an Indian in there, put chocolate in there, and put ice cream in there. Right? So they get to that day, right? Oh, it's Tuesday afternoon. I don't even want chocolate right now, but chocolate's here. I do enjoy chocolate. Yum, I get to have my chocolate. Okay, Friday night, they might go, okay, it's my Indian. You know, I like having a takeaway. I don't really fancy it too much, but I'm going to have the Indian, right? 2 weeks later, how's everything going? Good. How's the emotional eating going? Oh, I haven't felt really emotional, or I've not lent towards these foods. Well, why haven't you lent towards these foods? Because they're a part of my diet already. Do you know what I mean? If you go to something every time you're emotional, and they're your go-tos, why don't you just add them into your diet to everyday life? And then when you get emotional, you don't lean towards those foods, so you just automatically make better decisions going forward.
There's 2 things I want to say. First, I want to reiterate what I was saying before as well. I always give my girls a dessert at the end of the night, because it's like, you can easily just brush your teeth and go to bed anyway. But I will always give my girls that option of chocolate and ice cream, and I give them things they love in their diet themselves, so that they don't feel the need to then like snack or eat the kids' food. It's like, you have it as part of your diet all day, so eat it. But then I also have clients, I want to phase into that stress, sleep, lifestyle management in a second. But I want to reiterate that you need to learn to say no a lot more. As soon as you master your no, you can actually say yes to things that are a fuck yes and that matter to you and that actually add to your life and that aren't just yeses for the sake of saying yes. So master your no to give better yeses. And back to that thing, I have two girls in particular where we have to like literally say, just stop buying all chocolates. If you want to have a chocolate, have it outside of the house, because if you have one, you're going to eat 100. So either moderate it or completely get rid of it, and instead find something else you can moderate that fulfills that need. And also, why is it that you feel the need to have all this? Kind of like alcohol, food, same thing. Always stressed out, always trying to do 100 things and be everything for everybody and manage the kids and be too much for the kids because she feels like she's not enough for the kids. And that's how most people run their lives. Like, why are you so stressed out? So now I want to come back to why foundation phases are so important and why maintenance is actually building, because it's progress. Because if you're not looking after the golden keys to your best physique, what are the golden keys to your best physique? It's lifestyle, stress management, and sleep is included in that, and it's patience. So maybe we can talk about why it's so important to manage the stress and how that fits into everything else, because Luke talks about it all the time.
Yeah, I think stress management is really important, but again, it's finding your way to handle these things. Like, to me, I've changed my view a lot, and I know I own a gym, but to me, and again, this might sound biased, but to me, if you want to be successful long term and you want to be happy in what you do, you got to train. You have to train. There's no doubt in my brain that you need to do some physical activity, right? We're both fans of resistance training, right? Resistance training doesn't, what's the word? That's stereotypes, let's say. You know what I mean? You've got to work hard in what you're doing. At times where things are difficult too, your stats difficult, your conditioning pieces are difficult, that becomes a level of one that's building resilience. And there's some research from Andrew Huberman at the moment about like cold exposure and stuff. I hate cold exposure. I can't think of anything worse than going in a cold bath, but I understand the benefits that can possibly come from it, just in terms of resilience as well, in terms of overall resilience. Training, like, to me, I do jiu-jitsu. To me, that hour that I do jiu-jitsu is completely meditative. I don't think about anything else during that hour. I'm not someone that can sit. I've tried it and I've tried it to meditate. Just sit there, because again, you go meditation, you go like, oh, I got to be a Buddhist now. I've got to sit there and do nothing for a long period of time, right? So I've tried it. I've done your headspace. I've done your calm. I've done all those things. And I enjoy them while I do them, but I don't do them for long enough, so I can't enjoy them that much. So what are my pieces of meditation? What are meditative for me? What allows me to handle stress? Training, putting myself into a little bit of a hole now and again, because I can't think about anything else. And I'm benefiting so many ways from that. From my muscle, from my stress, my body composition, my nervous system, everything has been wonderful. Jiu-jitsu. If I'm not completely on in jiu-jitsu, someone's pulling my arm off. That's not a nice thing if I'm not on. So to me, find something that takes your brain away from where you are at currently. And I understand too, there's times that you need to sit and you need to think. One of the best things I've ever got, we do a Rise Challenge at this gym, which is all about habits and behaviors. Get somebody, and if you're listening now and you're unsure, lie on your bed or sit in your chair and do absolutely nothing for 5 minutes. Nothing. Don't blink. Don't do anything. Just try and do as minimal as you can. Don't go on your phone. Do nothing. Just stare into the abyss. And you'll be amazed how difficult that is for people to do.
There was something he said there, which is actually, I want to quickly touch. That's exactly why James ended with that, because that physical stuff is a stress on the body, and you can't keep escaping to that, because you're only increasing your systemic stress load, and it's going to wreak. For most of you that are under eating, that is when your hormonal complications come in and metabolic complications come in, because then you're going to enter low energy availability because you're underfeeding, you're overtraining. So you need to be careful with what you do and what advice you also hear on the internet, because not everything is for you. And training and all that stuff isn't therapy. It is stress relief, but not therapy. And my form of it is like, I want to actually touch on that one more time. a lot of people are so busy that if you see exercise as a means of burning calories or a means of just changing your body, you are not going to get anywhere. Instead of thinking of it as, this is the one time I get to work on myself, because everything else outside of this is for everybody else. And if you see your food and your nutrition in the same way, that is going to reap friggin' investments upon investments. And I'll actually want to read out Jonathan Goodman. He wrote this post and I shared it to a few of my girls. The best investment that you could ever make is into your own body. Pinch pennies elsewhere. Spend lavishly on your own health and fitness. And the caption reads, fitness fortifies your mind. It strengthens your body. It improves your mental health. It levels up your confidence, and it increases your emotional well-being. When you take care of your body first, the rest of your life has an uncanny way of falling into place. Fitness must come first. It is not an afterthought. And if you think about that and how fitness enhances every element of your life and you see it in that way, it does become something that you would rather do than not do. Like for me, I just do it because I know that if I don't do it, I feel like shit, because it's giving me energy. I feel, not only mentally, I feel shit on myself for just not showing up for myself, because I do if I don't show up. And if I know that I didn't push myself to the best of my ability, I feel shit because I know that I could have given better. But I'm also realistic about the fact that, yeah, but could I really have given better, or do I really just feel like I'm shitting on myself? Like, I need to reward myself for the effort I'm putting in order to have the positive feedback.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, a lot of, just on that quote, I think a lot of it, I speak about price via value a lot of the time. You know, a price is something that you pay. A value is something that, what's the worth? What are you getting out of that? You know, and any level of training to me is massive. And you hit the nail on the head. Like, you know, my reasons for training over time, and my objective is always to get better and stronger and fitter and faster. But I'm a business owner. I've got 2 kids. I've got a wife. Every single part of my life is getting a worse part of me if I don't train. Every bit of me can turn into a bit of a dick if I don't train. But it's a part of who I am. I can never see myself not doing it. And people might sit here now and go, yeah, but that's all right for you to say. No, anything. Find your thing. Find your thing that you do. Okay, you don't have to do what I do. What I do works for me. You do what works for you, but do something. Okay, do something for yourself and do something for those, you know, those around you. But again, you mentioned that energy availability being a big one. Energy availability is a absolutely massive thing, and this is a problem when people do undereat and they do train. A lot of time in sports like what I do, you know, like with CrossFit and things like that, it can be a big problem. You know, and there's 2 sides to that too. One of them, you have to make sure that you get enough energy, and there's simple equations that you can actually just figure this out to make sure you have a certain amount of energy available per lean muscle mass, or however you're going to do it, and never go below that. You need that. Do you know what I mean? But there's some good things about training, and I might be going a little bit off topic now, but I think CrossFit back in the day, years ago, I think it has made a big change for females, especially in ours. A lot of my podcast is about, you know, female empowerment. I've had a lot of female athletes on my podcast talking about what they do. And CrossFit has been a massive thing in changing people's perception about the female body and how it looks. You're having these people, they're quite muscular. Some people go, oh, I don't like it. It looks like a man. Well, you fucking wish you looked more like a man. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous what you're saying. But their thing is, they're into their training. They're the first people that come through to be like solely focused on performance being absolutely everything. And then their diet will match their performance. Their diet will match their training, not the other way around. When we go the other way around, we seem to have problems, right? If you get lean up and you get a 6-pack or whatever, or you build your muscle but your numbers are going up in the gym, you're getting fitter, you're getting faster, you're getting stronger, wonderful. Because I can guarantee you, if you're chasing the other one and you're chasing that sort of lower body composition, and everything else is dropping around it, you're fucking doing it very much the wrong way. Very much the wrong way.
Everything that you just said, if people actually stop to think about what areas of their life are getting most focus and where their stress, where their energy goes, if a lot of it is about your body and how much you hate your love handles and all this other shit, that stuff can be wiped off the table if you actually put energy into everything that James just said and why it adds so much to our life. Like, if you focus on performance, like, people the people that you feel like look like a man is because they're either doing unnatural stuff that is illegal, or they take things to the next level extreme. Like, extreme exists for a reason, and that is their lifestyle. That's what they get paid to do. And the other part of what I wanted to say is, there was one of my clients who said to me that she first came to me saying, it's too hard, life's too busy, I never prioritize myself, and she worries about all these other things before she worries about herself. And I told her that I know, for example, when I don't put myself first, eat food that makes me feel good, and get in the sessions and movement I said I would do, I feel shit about myself. I'm not present in my workouts. I'm not present with my family. I'm not present with what actually means the most to me, which is my job and my life. Like, I'm not present because I'm too busy worrying about this, that, and the other. And then it's like, it just feeds each other onto the next day, onto the next day. If you stop that cycle, which is in your control, and realize that what you eat impacts your mood, what you eat, like, you don't eat calories, you don't eat macros, you eat food. And the food you eat impacts how you feel about yourself, your energy, your mood. Like, literally just those three things can impact everything else, because now you have more energy, now you feel lighter in your feet, now you feel in control, now you want to do more things, and it's a feed forward loop. You have more clarity, more focus, and you actually have more time to do the things that add to your life.
Yeah, I think a couple of things you just touched on then. Like, one of them, I'll always say how much you eat will dictate the size of you objectively, but what you eat will dictate how you feel subjectively. So again, I think there's this thing with the literature, isn't there? Like, you can lose fat and eat whatever you want. You can. You're fucking stupid. You're very stupid to do that, right? You need to make sure that you're nourishing yourself. No, you need to be able to find happiness in what you're doing. And just touching back on the sort of body image thing that, people always sort of touching themselves, or like, I wish I didn't have these. Everyone wishes they were someone else. Humans are only ever happy with their body retrospectively. So how many times, like, I've had pictures. I posted about this about a year ago. I had a picture with my kid when he was young. It was a really nice picture in the sea, and I was holding him. And I was like, at the time, I was like, to my wife, I was like, don't put that online. I didn't like the way that I looked at it, right? I looked back at it a year later, and I felt heartbroken that I didn't post it. It was a great picture. I was in great shape at the time. But you never think like that within your time, right? And I suppose even with, it's like, you're measuring a lot of your girls, right? The ones with big boobs want to lose their boobs. The ones that lose their boobs just want to keep, you know what I mean? You're never going to be happy. You always want the other person. You know what I mean? You need to find happiness with where you're at. And this is the thing with body image as well. It's like, I think we need to get out of this narrative as well, that we're trying to just eradicate bad body image days. We're not trying to do that. You're always going to have them. It's about being able to look in the mirror, maybe not be too happy with yourself, but get on with your day just as it is, because tomorrow's another day. Do what you need to do that day.
It's actually really funny, because that used to be me, and now I'm just like, I don't compare myself body-wise to body. Like, yeah, I have something I aspire to, but it's not her that I aspire to body-wise. It's, I know the effort she puts into that body.
Yes.
I know the mindset behind it. I know what it takes to get there. I don't wish for her body. I remember when
you can admire it though, right? You can be like, amazing.
I don't degrade myself because
no way.
I don't look like her. I can have self-doubt in like 1 second, but then I'm over it the next second, because I don't see this as a 12-week project. I see this as a lifestyle, and I have to keep doing this for the rest of my life. Like, I don't have those bad image days anymore. When I do, it's like a split second. But I remember way back when I used to send Luke in my check-ins, I want her body. Can you get me her body? I want her body. And he literally said to me one day, I don't want to see another photo of any other woman in my inbox from you. And then it was crazy. Just that stop focusing on dumb shit has stuck with me for ages, to the point where I don't do that anymore. Like, I'm like, I don't want this body, but I want to work towards this body.
Yeah, and I think this is where everyone needs to be a little bit more aligned, because I've had about a decade ago, before I was really into nutrition and things like that, like after I'd finished studying, I'd have clients and they would go and see nutritionists or go and see psychologists that would make them put a picture of their dream body on the wall. These are, this is what they would do. And they would work towards this. And of course, everyone's dreams body is like fucking Jennifer Lopez or something, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, it's, everyone was, it was Jennifer Aniston or Jennifer, it's someone like that. And I'm going, are you like, come on right now, right? And the other thing about being in shape, and you're exactly right, is like, no one is out of shape by accident. We really sort of underdo the effort that people have put in. I see it in a gym. We're a performance center, right? And people will go, they'll start being jealous, like, oh, why can't I do that? Because you fucking don't deserve that yet. You've not been there yet. You've not done it. You can't build muscle. You can't build it without effort. It requires effort. Some people come in, oh, that girl clicked to it really fast. Yeah, but she's also got, 12 years of elite sport background. You're just coming in for your first time ever gymming. But I've done it a year younger than you. No, it doesn't matter. Training age, everything like that, that makes a big difference. So you have to you can admire people, but you should never I'm trying to think, like comparison, the thief of joy, right? You should never compare yourself to someone else because you don't know what the hell that other person has been through. And then on the other side of things, I've dealt with people with eating disorders in the past that have lost a lot of weight in a short period of time. And people will go, oh my God, you look amazing. You look so lean. Stop touching on people's body image. Just stop it completely. It's so irritating. You have no idea what the person is going through. Stop saying it.
We said that at the very start of this podcast, and that's exactly what keeps us stuck in that diet cycle, is because we get attached to those compliments that we're scared of doing anything else. I'm not going to get the compliments anymore. They're going to feel like I lost control of my body. And it's a shame because everything has been so body focused that there's no other reason other than to feel like crap there. But that actually flew so fast, and I just realized how long we've been talking. But is there anything that you want to sum up with in that? Because I wanted this to be all revolving around not living in a diet, how mindset affects your health and nutrition, and how the foundation of it all is actually the key to it all if you want to keep it off.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people just have to really make the decision for themselves depending on what they want to do. Getting a little bit of help and helping you along the way and actually finding someone that knows what they're talking about and knows best for you is the right way to go. If you've been in perpetual states of diets for a period of time, my message to you is just stop. Just stop. Focus on other things. Don't even care about your calories. Go and focus on finding a way to de-stress. Go and focus on training. Go and focus on your sleep. Read a book, personal development. Do something else that's going to make you feel amazing. There's so many things that make you feel amazing. Looking after your calories and weight loss is not one of them, because I guarantee unless you fix that other 10 things on that biopsychosocial model, when you lose the weight, you ain't going to be any happier anyway. You just believe that you are. It's the same with pay rises. Oh, when I get this next pay rise, I'm going to be happier. No, you're not, because you're still in the same shit job. Still the same, and you're still unhappy in what you're doing. So stop dieting. Stop looking for that. Again, if you want to diet, again, just think about the reasons why you want to diet. And again, Ruby's right in what she's saying. Living at maintenance or actually trying to maintain your current weight for a period of time while working hard on yourself is a very progressive way to think. And if you've actually lost a little bit of weight for a period of time and now you're struggling with weight loss, if you can maintain that loss for a period of time, you've done exceptional. That is amazing. If you've lost 1 kilo and now you've maintained that kilo for the next 4 weeks, that's amazing. Congratulations, you've lost a kilo and now you've maintained it. Look at maintenance as progress. Maintenance is progress. Maintenance is the most important progress of them all. Nothing matters unless you can maintain it.
Those last few words. Nothing matters unless you can maintain it. And I do want to just highlight one thing you said there, because a lot of people be like, I can't do that. But just because you're not focusing on perpetual dieting anymore does not mean you're going to gain 100 kilos overnight and look like a like. No,
wait, that's pretty. It's not. People think fat gain is like a really easy thing. If I look at that cake, I'll put on 3 kilos. You won't. That's not science. That's not how it works.
You live in a restrictive mindset because you're going to keep binging until you get out of that restrictive mindset.
Yeah. Allow yourself foods. Like, be free. Try and find ways of eating that fit your lifestyle, that make you happy. And at the same time, stop thinking that gaining weight is the worst thing ever in the world. Everyone thinks it's the worst thing ever. Like, weight loss is an absolute fucking travesty. Since when? Since when?
I just want to say the only reason it feels that way to you is because you feel out of control. And I highly suggest getting a coach, because it takes out the guesswork, it takes out the stress, and they will teach you. If you get the right coach, like James, like me, like people that are in the circle of talking about this stuff, you will actually see the most progress you ever had in the however many years of your life. So I highly suggest you do that. And with that, where can they actually find you? What's your Instagram handle? And I'm going to leave them in the show notes below.
Let me see. I think my personal one, sort of work one, is Coach James _rebuild. Because everything that I do, I think, for my whole life, like, I'm a coach first and foremost, behind any business, behind anything. Like, it's like core to extremity work, right? I'm a coach. That's what we love to do. And then my gym is called Rebuild Health and Fitness. That probably has a lot more content than my Instagram page. The business takes priority over my personal.
I feel like everyone who actually looks at the podcast clips can gain so much from there as well. And if you haven't listened to the blood pressure podcast that Muscle Nerds did with Rebuild, I highly, highly recommend it, because it's not just about blood pressure, but it's about how your health impacts your results if you're not putting care to it, and how your lifestyle impacts your health, which impacts your results. So with that, thank you for coming on. And if you got any value from this, if anything resonated with you, let us know. And like always, come and let me know what parts in this actually sung to your heart. And don't forget to rate the podcast if you liked it. Thank you.